Okay, so systems of equations. This isn't that hard, but sometimes quite a few of you guys that I found have a hard time setting up the dang system. Okay, and that's probably the hardest part. Once you do that, then you can kind of figure out how to solve it because the steps are the same. But every single time you're going to have different variables and whatnot that it makes it hard. So the very first thing you want to do is just read the dang thing. Okay, so read it and then figure out. And you can go through and circle what is the important stuff. So it says Isaiah and Will live on a farm and breed ducks and chickens for a living. Last week they sold 23 ducks and 42 chickens for a total of $872. This week they sold 10 ducks and 6 chickens for a total of $232. How much does a chicken cost and how much does a duck cost? Okay, so the general rule of thumb is anything with a number, you kind of need to circle it. This is math class, so anything with a number is probably going to be important. Okay, so we can say they sold 23 ducks, 42 chickens for $872. Those are the three numbers so far. And it says this week they sold 10 ducks, 6 chickens for a total of $232. Okay, and it says how much does a chicken cost, how much does a duck cost? Okay, so the very first part, part A, it says define the variables. And any standardized test that you take, they're going to want those variables in a complete sentence. So you cannot say, which will make more sense, but you can't say D equals ducks, okay? Because D does not equal ducks. So we can use variables, and we know we have ducks and chickens, so I am going to use D. So I got D equals. Okay, and we want to write a complete sentence. So we want to say, what is D? We need to think about it. Is D the amount of ducks? Okay, is that the amount they sold? Is that the amount of ducks that they have? Is it the price of duck? Is it the price per one duck? Is it the price per 10 ducks? And that information is somewhere within this, sorry, lost my train of thought. Within this paragraph, okay? And so we can re-look back through here, and it tells us duck, they want to know how much a duck costs. And so when we define the variable, that's what you're going to say. It's really going to be, D is going to be the price per one duck. Okay, you can't say the price per ducks because ducks with an S is plural, which means that you should have more than one. Okay, so we want the price per one duck because that's what they're asking. How much does a duck cost? Okay, so then our other one, okay, we need another letter because we're defining the variables with an S. So our other one is going to be C for chickens. Okay, and we can't write C equals chickens because that is not correct or accurate in any way. Okay, so we can go back through here and we can see it says how much does a chicken cost. And so overall we're looking at, we're trying to figure out, and instead of price and stuff, I'm going to write this one there. You could write it the exact same and say the price per one chicken. Okay, I'm going to say the cost, because cost is the equivalent word for price, the cost of one chicken. Okay, and same thing, we can't say chickens because we're only looking for the cost per one chicken. Okay, so that wasn't too bad, and the more you do these, the more you're like, okay. So the next section on here, it says, part B says, write the system of equations. Okay, system of equations. Equations means two. That means you should have two equations for this system. So we can go back through here and we could say, and start putting our stuff in. So we know on last week, Isaiah and Will sold 23 ducks and 42 chickens for a total of $872. Okay, so we can say 23D, because we know we sold 23 ducks plus 42 chickens, so plus 42C, and total always means equals. So equals, and it was $872. Okay, and then the next one, we need a system of equations, which means I should have two. Okay, and the next one, it says this week they sold 10 ducks, so we're going to say 10D. Gosh dang it. My board is being so annoying today. 10D plus, and we need to look, well, how much other chickens did they sell? Well, they sold 6 chickens, so it's going to be 6C equals, and it says for a total means equals, $232. Okay, so we're going to say equals 232. Okay, let's look at number 2. It says Jawbreakers cost $1.99 per pound. Okay, the word per means 1. Okay, so for every 1 pound, it costs $1.99. Okay, if you go to McDonald's and it's $1 per McChicken, that means for every McChicken you buy, you owe $1. Okay, if you go through the drive-thru and you get 5 McChickens, you owe $5. If you go through and you get 20 McChickens, you owe $20. Granted, I'm not talking about tax here, but okay, so $1.99 per pound. And as we go, we can circle anything with a number we know we're going to use. Okay, so $1.99 per pound, and that's for a Jawbreaker. So I'm going to just circle this whole thing. $1.99 per pound. And gumballs cost $1.49 per pound. So they cost $1.49 per pound. Josh paid $6.46 for a total means equals a total of 4 pounds of Jawbreakers and gumballs. How many pounds of Jawbreakers did he buy? So part A says define the variables, okay? Now, you can use J and G, okay? Jawbreakers and gumballs, or you can use X and Y. It really doesn't matter. You pick whatever letter you're feeling. Okay, so I'm going to use J and G. Okay, so what are we looking at? We need to know, are we looking for the price of Jawbreakers that he bought, or are we talking about the poundage, how many are in a baggie? We need to go back through and read, okay? And so essentially, when we look at these, the very last sentence is usually going to tell you what your variable should be. And it says, how many pounds of Jawbreakers did he buy? So when we're looking at J, our J is going to be the amount of Jawbreakers bought. Okay, and remember, we cannot just write J for Jawbreakers, okay? It should be in a nice sentence. And I don't normally make you write in a sentence. On these ones, you have to, okay? And then gumballs is going to be something equivalent, okay? So the amount of Jawbreakers bought. You could say the amount of gumballs bought. Or you could say the amount of gumballs purchased. Any of these things work, okay? Or unless you just want to keep the whole total same sentence, you can. Okay, so the amount of gumballs bought. Okay, and then part B, it wants us to write the system of equations. Okay, now on these ones, it's a little bit tricky until you start figuring out. You're usually going to get one. You might struggle on another one on quite a few of these. Okay, so start writing down the information. So Jawbreakers cost $1.99 per pound. So we could say $1.99, and that's going to be J because our Jawbreakers plus gumballs cost $1.49. So it's going to be $1.49 G, and Josh paid a total of $6.46, okay? And then we got 4 pounds of Jawbreakers. So we know that he paid $6.46 total for whatever he bought. Okay, so we did one in terms of price, and we can do another one in terms of pounds. So we know that between the two of these, between Jawbreakers plus Gumballs, 4 pounds were bought. So we could say 4. Okay.